Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's Stay Connected webinar. We are very excited today to learn more about this year's 4-H summer reading program. Jackie and Jennifer with Extension, I'll let you introduce yourselves, but every year they update this curriculum and they're so kind to share it with all of us and get on to Stay Connected to give us the updated information. So thank you. We really appreciate you and your work. And I'm going to just let you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you and your program, and you can just go ahead and take it away.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kim, for letting us be a part of the Stay Connected sharing session today. So like you mentioned, we are going to be your adventure guides today. So I am Jackie Steffen, and I am an extension educator. I focus on early childhood. I'm located in Hardington, Nebraska. That's where my home office is, but I serve the counties of Cedar Knox, Boone, Nance, and Antelope with early childhood resources and programming. But then, of course, we do programs across the state. And with me, I have Jennifer, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Hansen. I'm the 4-H extension educator in Thurston County, and then I also serve Burke County with programmatic efforts.
Excellent. So you know that we're a part of Nebraska Extension, and with Nebraska Extension, our mission really is to engage with Nebraskans wherever they are, connecting them with resources, with research and innovation from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So we are 360 strong, and we serve 93 counties across the state. And so we're excited to be on with you today to share about this year's 4-H Reading Connections program. And so I think we're just going to dive in and get started right away so that we leave plenty of time.
Jackie,
There's some questions.
I'm going to interrupt you for half a second. I saw Sonia Gloop joined us, and Sonia is also on our team. So I just want to acknowledge that Sonia's on. So she gets credit there.
Very good. Yes. So we're going to just take a step back in time a little bit and explain how the 4-H Reading Connections program really got started. So back in 2014, so officially 10 years ago this year, Nebraska Extension started this program called 4-H Reading Connections. And really what it is a partnership between Nebraska 4-H and then the Collaborative Summer Reading Program. So libraries across the nation each year have a summer reading theme. And this theme is universal in Nebraska and beyond the Nebraska border. So every library has that same theme and resources that they can use. And so what we decided to do back in 2014 is we decided to match our 4-H curriculum with the Collaborative Summer Reading program's theme. And we developed a series of 4 lessons that we could either physically go into the libraries and provide programming or train their staff and volunteers with these engaging and really hands-on and active lessons. And this was really just a great recruitment tool for us so that we could reach maybe audiences we hadn't reached before. And it was a great partnership between our local extension offices and libraries. And I know the libraries in my area and really across the state, they're so active. And in the summer, they're almost like hubs. So they have so many different types of programs. It's been a really great partnership just working locally as well. And so when we started this program in 2014, it just continues to grow and be very successful. And so we've developed a number of different partnerships with our kind of K through 6 design lessons. But then as we fast forwarded to 2020, we realized that there was still a large amount of youth or children that we still weren't reaching. And what we learned is that a lot of those children were potentially in childcare. And so we had this aha moment, and we decided, well, if all children aren't able to come to their local library for summer reading programming, how about we bring that to them? And so we developed the second kind of portion of our summer reading program that targets early childhood, so birth to age 8. And those resources are called STEM Imagination Guides, and I'll go into the details with them a little bit later. But I think it's just really important for you to know that for our 4-H summer reading program, we have lessons that are designed specifically for kindergarten through 6th grade, and then that early childhood component. But being being the great teachers that everyone is, knowing that you can have that crossover with those resources as well. So they can be, all of them can either be adapted up or they can be adapted down. The most important thing is that they're meeting the needs of the children that you're caring for, that you're teaching, because there isn't really a one size fits all approach. We want our lessons to be totally adaptable to make an impact on the children that you work with. So with that, I'm going to start out by talking about the STEM Imagination Guides, so the early childhood component, and then I'm going to pass it on to Jennifer for the last half, and we'll talk about the 4-H resources for the kindergarten through 6th grade. So this year's theme is Adventures Begin at Your Library. And so for our summer reading program, we've really taken a spin on the adventure theme. And so we're not only having adventures in our library, we're having 8 different adventures. And so you can see the 8 different books that were selected for the early childhood component. So we have a book that focuses on adventures in the kitchen, adventures in the science lab, one for adventures in your library, an adventure that you can go on in the wild, in your garden. You can travel to outer space with these resources, to different countries, and even to your own backyard adventures. So as you look at these books, you can see that it's a combination of some classics along with some newer releases. And what we really wanted to do as we sifted through a variety of different titles is we wanted to make sure we had high quality books that were also high interest books to our youngest readers and listeners. So those are the books that we've selected. Another thing that's really important about the STEM Imagination Guides is that we have connected them to the Nebraska Early Learning Guidelines. And these are learning and development standards for children birth to age 5. And these guidelines are really intended to assist adults in planning and providing meaningful learning experiences and environments for children that they care for. And so there are 7 different domains, and we use these guidelines as a framework really to guide our decisions as we created our STEM Imagination Guides. So what you'll notice as you have the chance to look at the different lessons is that all 7 of these domains are really interwoven throughout all the active learning experiences that the children have the opportunity to have. So moving forward, we have a couple of new things that we added to our STEM Imagination Guides this year. One of them being board book suggestions. So since I mentioned that the STEM Imagination Guides are for early childhood, we received feedback that we wanted some specific resources for infants and toddlers. And so what we did is with our guides, even though the book suggested is more for the preschool age, we put a board book that would also go with that same guide so that even our youngest learners can have a quality shared reading experience that really meets their developmental needs. So the activities in the guide can still be used to extend the learning of the book, but the book is more developmentally appropriate for some of our youngest learners. So that's new this year. And then we also included a link on each guide to additional resources that tie directly to whatever adventure they're having, whether it's in the backyard, in the garden, in the library, or whichever guide they're doing. So as I mentioned earlier, these guides are meant to be tailored either up or down and customized to meet the needs and interests of the learners in your setting. And we know that as educators, whenever possible, we want to follow children's lead and their interests. So these resources and links allow you to expand your adventure with additional resources. And here in just a moment, we're going to take a look at a guide, and then I'll show you what those additional resource connections look like. So those are a couple of new things. The other thing just to know is our guides are available in English and Spanish. And I know that Jennifer put the website in the chat box. Our website is also translated in English and Spanish as well. So this is what one of the guides looks like. So this is our first issue in this year's series, and this is an adventure in the kitchen. And so the book that we're focusing on is a book called Duck Soup, which is a totally fun book because in this story, Duck decides that he's followed lots of recipes and he does a pretty good job following the recipes, but he's never made something that was just his own. And so Max decides that he's going to make this soup that's going to be fantastic. And he's adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's still missing something. And so Max decides, I know what it is. And he's going out to his garden to find that missing ingredient. And while he's out in his garden finding that missing ingredient, his friends come in, dog and cat and bird. And as they are smelling this wonderful aroma and looking forward to tasting whatever Duck is cooking, they look inside this pot and they see kind of what looks like a bay leaf inside of it. And that bay leaf looks a lot like a duck feather. And when they see this, they panic because, oh my goodness, Max isn't here. Duck must have fallen in the soup. And being the friends they are going to save his life. And so they get out, their colanders and all the different types of things. And they're trying to get Duck out of this soup, making a huge mess in the kitchen. And suddenly the door opens and they look, not expecting somebody to walk in. And they see that it's Max. And Max screams, "My soup." And so it's just a fun story. And at supper that night, they end up having pizza. And the friends cheer for him because they think he's a great chef, but they're really glad that they didn't have to eat duck soup. So it is just a delightful story. But with each of the STEM Imagination guides, we give conversation starters because it's all about having that shared reading experience. And so there's suggested questions that you can use to engage young children in conversation. So it's not an exhaustive list, and obviously you can add any of your own questions in there, but just to have that conversation back and forth as you're reading. So on the front of each STEM Imagination guide, there is a STEM connection. And that is a way to incorporate science, technology, engineering, and math along with the book, so extending the learning. So this particular STEM connection is called Cook with a Book. And so what this is basically where you can choose the book Duck Soup, or you could choose another book and basically find a recipe and you're cooking in the kitchen together. So there's a book called The Doorbell Rang, and it's about cookies. So maybe you want to share that book and then make a favorite cookie recipe. Or there's one called Zora Zucchini. So maybe you want to talk about growing zucchini and then make zucchini muffins or zucchini bread. But we know that there's a lot of learning that takes place when kids are working in the kitchen, and a lot of math and measurement and a lot of taste testing as well. And so that's a way just to extend the learning of this book with a STEM connection. On the back of each of the STEM guides is a nature connection, a creative arts connection, and also an infant and toddler piece. And so the nature connection for this one is talking about growing herbs. So you're able to see the different herbs that are represented in this duck soup and potentially encouraging families or sites to plant their own herbs and maybe make their own pizza sauce. The creative arts for this one is a cooking sensory bin. And this is where you add rice, noodles, and then different measuring cups and spoons and dishes, and encourage children to use their imagination as they're using their senses to cook. And then finally, the infant toddler piece, which I think also can definitely be used with preschoolers and older children, is a kitchen matchup. And so this is where you take some butcher paper. I think I might have my video on blur in my background. I'm going to change this. Where you take some butcher paper and you trace some different utensils that you find in your kitchen. And then their job is to match those utensils with their silhouette. So the fun thing about this is that it's nice when you use the utensils that will be used with the recipe that you're going to be cooking with. So this is just a brief kind of overview of the Adventure in Your Kitchen STEM Imagination Guide. As I mentioned, it has a resource connection. So you're able to scan this QR code and it takes you right out, I hope. Here we go. Takes you right out to a website. And this is another Nebraska Extension or UNL resource. And this has tons of great information about cooking with kids. So if you find that the group of kids you're working with is enjoying being in the kitchen, there are lots of different recipes that are kid appropriate to be able to make. And so this is a resource with lots of different information on it for you. And then of course you can see the board book connection as well. So that's a brief overview of what it's like. Here's some pictures of the guides in action. Just so you know, we did have 23 sites this February that piloted these guides for us. So they have been tested with 278 children so far. And these are some pictures of them actually doing the different activities. So we've had libraries pilot these programs. These have been, the second picture is in a 3rd grade classroom. We've had them done in preschool classrooms. We've had them done in home childcare settings. We've went and done a variety of different trainings at Head Starts and different centers. And then the picture over here is actually in Armenia. So our guides were piloted in Armenia this year, and we are working on a partnership and are actually doing a training for the American Spaces and libraries in Armenia coming up on May 6th. So it's pretty exciting that the guides are all throughout Nebraska and beyond our border, but even outside of the United States as well. Another piece that we have, so all of these resources, I'll show you in just a minute how you can find them on our website and how you can download them. But when you download to access the guides, either in Spanish or English, you also have a file for some social media adventures. And so they're there for you if you want to promote what you're doing at your site on social media with your audience as well. So that is the STEM imagination piece in a nutshell. So I'm going to pass it on to Jennifer and let her share about the adventures in 4-H.
Excellent. Thanks, Jackie. So like Jackie, we take the theme from the Collaborative Summer Reading Program, but we stick pretty close to that theme. So our lessons also relate back to the 4-H pledge. So anyone that's familiar with the 4-H pledge knows that we talk about our head, our heart, our hands, and our health during that portion of the pledge. And so these lessons all relate back to one of those 4-H's because our team felt like it was important to correlate it back to 4-H. But this year, our lessons are adventures in your community, adventures in gardening, adventures in food science, and adventures in the forest. And so we're going to kind of walk through what our lessons look like just a little bit, if Jackie will advance for me. So this is the adventures in your community lesson. This is actually our head lesson. I'm going to scroll on my other screen so it's bigger for me to read. So all of our lessons, that green box on the side is going to tell you it's adaptable for K through 6. All of these lessons can be, as Jackie has said, used up or down depending on your site and location. They're all around 60 minutes. Now, you're probably going to look at some of these and be like, that's a lot of content for 60 minutes. They are customizable, and that is the key to these lessons, is we probably gave you more than you're going to get done in 60 minutes, but we gave you some options about what that potentially looks like. You are also going to see the lesson authors on the left-hand side, as well as potential careers. So it lists everyone that's on our team, and I do believe the lead authors are the first two. Yes, yep, the lead authors. It says lesson authors, and then it says the team members below that. So it will be bigger when you look on the actual lesson. And then the next part of that lists your supply list, your learning objectives. It's going to tell you what supplies you need for the activity. In the adventures in your community lesson, you actually build a periscope with the young people using pool noodles, duct tape, scissors, glue. The biggest thing is you need some mirrors, but it's a super fun activity, and I can see the young people having a blast with this one. And then it also talks about what you need for the mapping in your community activity. It kind of gives you an idea of how to prepare. If you've never looked at these lessons before, we recommend you read the whole lesson. That's the big thing. Find the books. We give you a couple of choices there. Get your supplies. And then there is continued learning for those young people that are enrolled in our traditional 4-H program. If they want to take what they have learned and turn it into I'm going to call it a deliverable for county fairs, a 4-H project. We tell them what classes that potentially goes in for a county fair project. And then there's a few other resources that we will have on there. All of our lessons have been peer reviewed. The biggest difference between the early learning guides and these are not translated into Spanish. Jackie is very fortunate. They have an active team member that is bilingual and can help them with that. So we don't have to outsource on her side. On the 4-H side, we don't quite have that yet. So we're still working towards that. Next slide, please, Miss Jackie. And then basically it's the lesson. It's going to tell you what to do. Then you're going to read the story, and it gives you a visual of what the book looks like, or at least the most recent copy we could find when we found the pictures. It gives you opening questions. It gives you the introduction. It's going to tell you the activity again and the supplies. It's going to give you some background knowledge, and it's basically going to walk you through what to do and say with these young people. It's pretty self-explanatory when you get into it. My suggestion always is if you're going to make this Periscope, try it before you do it with a group of young people, because I always struggle with, oh yeah, this is going to work. And then I get into it. I'm like, that didn't work the way I thought it would. So I really do, if you're going to make some of these deliverables, try it out yourself just to make sure you fully understand the instructions. Next slide, Miss Jackie. Perfect. Okay, before we do that, Jackie, I thought of something. Can you stop sharing for a second? And I want to share what the download looks like, because I think that would help everyone. Thank you. Okay. Are you seeing my screen now? With the guide on it. Okay, just checking. So when you download our resources, you will get all 4 lessons. And this first sheet is really just the cover sheet that's going to tell you kind of all of the things. So they have the K-6 grade level, the lesson length, STEM career connection, relation to the 4-H H's, learning objectives, material list, continued learning in 4-H, resources, book suggestions, and activity, variety of activities. There you go. One thing we did this year that is new, if you've used these in the past, is we did give you kind of the lesson index of where they start. We also made it for those of you that have made photocopies of this before, that when you print it, it won't like print half the next lesson because it's on the back page of the lesson. Like you don't have to print something you don't need. We also included a book index because we know that is extremely important as people are trying to find the books that work for their situation. And then it just goes straight into the lesson and everything you need. I'm going to scroll quickly, so I apologize for those of you that don't do motion quick on computers. It even includes the protractor that you would potentially need for this lesson. So we give you all of the things that we can potentially give you. There's going to be a couple blank pages. This is so that you start on page 11 with your printing needs for the next lesson. So we can go back to the PowerPoint now, Jackie. So again, these are the books. So the head adventure is about mapping your community, making a periscope. Our heart lesson is adventures in gardening. And what they are going to do in this one is they are going to do some fruit and veggie yoga. They're going to eat the rainbow and wear it too. So they'll talk about eating fruits and vegetables with colors, and they'll do a vegetable taste testing party potentially, which depending what time of year you do this, your variety of fruits and vegetables is going to be dependent upon what you can get easily in your communities. But you can also talk about that you can buy them in the store. You can use fresh or canned. But then the really cool part of this lesson is that they actually use food like purple cabbage or things of that nature to dye fabric, to dye t-shirts, and they get like a tie-dyed t-shirt if you want to go that route. That's a little more labor intensive. We're aware of that, but I do think that's something that's pretty cool. One of our colleague that helped with this lesson used turmeric, like just the spice, and the amazing yellow color that she got out of this t-shirt is just crazy considering all she used was a little bit of turmeric. So it's one of those activities, if you're going to do the dyeing of the fabric and the t-shirts, that's going to take a little bit more setup. And then the next slide, please, Miss Jackie. Then we have the hands, which is our adventures in the forest lesson. So we're going to learn about trees, which is something that with Arbor Day coming up, I think this lesson really would fit in really well this time of year even. But basically they're going to do a tree factory activity and they're going to learn about the parts of the tree. And then there's an optional piece in this where you could get like tree cookies, and we found them fairly affordable actually on Amazon. So you could order those if you want. Or you can, if you have someone that's chopping down trees, like there's all these things you can do, right? But it is a fun lesson that really talks about trees and how they are valuable in our lives. And then the final lesson is Adventures in Health and Food Science. So in this one, again, we have a variety of books you can utilize. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll to the lesson. There's a lot on the tree lesson for additional resources. Okay. In the food science lesson, they will do potentially some more taste testing, but these are not fruits and vegetables. These include things like milk chocolate, pretzels, lemon, because we're going to talk about your different taste buds on your tongue. They do a magic milk science experiment. There's the battle of the senses, a jelly bean taste test. And then there's a bonus activity in this one with marbling with shaving cream. So there's a variety of kitchen food science activities to have adventures with. And this lesson very easily could be spread across a couple of different sessions. So we're pretty excited about these lessons. And then, Jackie, I think that's my last slide. Yep. And we're going to go to the website so you can get all the things.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. So you might be thinking, okay, this is great. I want to learn more. The best way to learn more is just basically by going out to the website and poking around a little bit. So for the STEM Imagination Guides, we do have a couple more trainings if you need some more information that are coming up in the afternoon and evening on April 29th. So if that's something that you're interested in or you want to share with someone else, feel free to do that. But as you get to the website, it gives an overview of the program. At first, you're able to see the STEM Imagination Guides, the different books. All of these red buttons take you to the exact same place. So if you really want to do the CC Love Science, so the adventure in the lab, you simply click on it. It's going to take you to a really quick form to fill out. And then after you insert your information, you'll be taken to a file that has all of the resources. So I would encourage you when you go there to save them all to your desktop or to a file so that you have those handy. As you go down a little bit further, I think one thing that's really important to know is, yes, all of these resources are designed to go with the current year's library program, but these resources have been used and continue to be used in a variety of different places. And so we archive all of the resources. And last year's theme was on friendship and unity. The year before was on oceans. The year before that, I think, was on animals and animal habitat. So this is really like a vault of super great resources that are already put together for you. And reading quality books, you can do that at any time during the year and not just during the designated summer. And then as you scroll down just a little bit further on the website, there are the 4-H lessons as well, and you're able to download them. So click on the button, you'll answer a few simple questions, and then you'll have the exact same document that Jennifer was showing us just a little bit ago. So we try to keep our website super user-friendly and simple. But if you do have a question at any time, just know that you can reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you.
And one of the things I know I neglected to mention is that, yes, these lessons were developed for the summer reading program, but I'm in fact using them with the summer school this summer as our kind of our outline for what we're going to do. They can be used in a classroom setting. They truly can be mixed and matched and pulled apart and used in whatever setting you have. I know myself personally, I've taken some of our activities from lessons and used them in like a farm safety day camp setting when I needed something and we had something that fit. So they can truly be used in a variety of fashions, which is what's so awesome about them.
Yeah, we created them and we want you to use them. So that's a little bit about the website, and otherwise that really does bring us to the end of our presentation. And we just encourage you to think about what does implementation of these resources look like for you. So thinking about maybe how you're going to take action and thinking about that really specifically. So kind of asking those how, and how questions. So since we're really to the end of our time, does anyone have any ideas on how they're thinking about implementing the guides, or any questions for us?
This is Lorna, and I definitely think this will work perfectly. Like you said, they're about 1 hour. So with our K-1-2 summer enrichment program, I think they have an hour enrichment. So do you think the STEM for that age group, do you think that the STEM imagination guides would be best for that age group? And then the adventures in 4-H, community gardening, food science, forest would be better for the 3rd and 4th graders?
You can definitely do that. So they can all be adapted up or down. And sometimes there's even that natural crossover of combining the STEM imagination guide with the 4-H lesson as well. So I think again, it's knowing your audience and knowing the abilities of the kids that you're working with, and kind of what their interests are.
Yeah. So at that website, what was in the chat, and also all of this information will be there and is downloadable, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Lorna, I know that we were talking just a little bit earlier. If the individual who will be teaching the enrichment through this summer, if she wants to brainstorm and map it out together, she can reach out to us and we'd be glad to help her.
Right. Well, and I think, our library is accessible walking distance from the K-1-2 building. So we're hoping during those mornings that we can, she can do some of this and then do some field trips to the library, because they're probably using this resources too, right? They're using these resources. This is their theme, correct?
Yes.
So somehow I want her to connect with them and then actually, it's their 3 weeks long. So maybe once a week, they actually physically get over there to the library to do something with them. Unfortunately, 3rd, 4th grade building is too far across town. That's not doable, but I'm hoping she can just get to the library and, network with them too, because they are one of our community partners, so that'd be a nice connection for the summer.
And these have been shared out with the library systems across the state. Now, that does not mean they're going to utilize them.
Right. That's right. I will talk to them. At least I'm knowledgeable when I call them and say, oh, I know that adventure begins at your library is your theme for the summer, right?
Yep.
And
I know they get from the Library Commission, they get a 100-some page book thing with lots of lesson activities in it as well. So
chances are they're not going to be overlapping anything.
Potentially no, but it never hurts to ask the question.
And do you think like this library, public library in Shadow will have all these books, or maybe our school library does? I guess that would be the thing. When you said they were shared with all the libraries, does that mean there's a good chance that most of the public libraries have all these books?
Potentially. On the 4-H side of it, I sent our list of books out in February because I was told to get those sooner. The other thing I will tell you is if they don't have any of the books, find something that's close. I've done that. My local library often doesn't have my specific books and they can't get it on interlibrary loan in the timely fashion. And so we've just found something that's comparable. So
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Great question. Any other thoughts? Well, as you get ready to launch your adventures, we do have a list of do's and don'ts, and just know that those resources are available for you on the website. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. Jennifer showed you on the 4-H lessons where the list of all of those who created the lessons are and a part of the team. And we just want you to have fun with them and take some pictures and share your feedback with us as well. So if something worked really well, of course, we want to hear about your successes. But if something didn't work so well, we want to hear feedback from you. And so you can expect that if you use and you download off of our website, we will send out a follow-up evaluation, because before we start planning for next year, we want to learn from all of you who are using them in your setting with kids. And that's how we make adaptations and changes, because we want them user-friendly for you. Some things not to forget about is don't worry about using them a right way. So as I mentioned earlier, they're not cookie cutter lessons that are scripted. They are meant to be pulled apart and added to. So be sure that you make them yours so they're meaningful to the kids that you're working with. And don't feel rushed to implement the resources. So during our pilot, I did have feedback, like it's too much to get finished in 1 hour. And I realized that. So like they were talking specifically about the STEM imagination guides. We're going to give you way more than you can do. You have to pick what's best for you. And so with the 4-H lessons or the STEM guides, a lot of those could be themes that could be carried out across the week. Books can be reread, which is great, or there's multiple books that tie in with that theme as well. So think about what your goals are, but don't feel that pressure to have to get it all in such a short amount of time. Picks what's most important to you. So that's what we have. And if you have any questions at any time, just feel free to reach out to Jennifer or I.
Thank you so much, Jackie, Jennifer, and your team. This is really excellent curriculum and so well thought out and planned, and your willingness to help anybody to implement it. We really do appreciate that. Do you mind if we post your PowerPoint along with the recording on our Stay Connected site? You've got a few. I don't think the chat shows up there, but if there's a couple key websites you want us to post along with that, we can do that too.
Kim, when will that recording be posted? Because I want to share that with my teachers. How soon will that be?
Well, Sherry, maybe tomorrow.
I'm on
Okay.
it.
Okay. Oh, hi, Sherry. Thanks, Sherry. Okay, I'm just wondering,
Hi.
did you know? Thank you. I want to send them something. Maybe they'll want to participate in that additional training on the 29th, but I don't know. If not, at least I could have the recording for her. So, okay, thank you.
And Jackie, Jennifer, if you want to send me the information about that training you're going to do, I can put that on our partner spotlight page also for you.
Sounds fantastic.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We just really, truly appreciate your expertise and your passion for this work and your time. So
Well, we appreciate being able to share.
Thank you.
Our May Stay Connected webinars that are coming up, May 2nd, we're going to give you some Get Connected 2024 conference updates. So plan to join us for that. And then May 16th, we'll be talking about some resources that are available for environmental education. Dakota Staggs is with Beyond School Bells will lead that session. So mark your calendars. And again, thanks so much. We really appreciate your work and your partnership. Thanks for joining
for your
today.
leadership. Bye.
See you soon.